The NBA's 2022 regular season has finally come to a close, which means it's time to look back and reflect on everything that happened over the course of the year. It really was one hell of a season filled with entertainment all the way through, so we as fans had a lot to be excited about. One thing in particular that is always worth monitoring over time is how the rookie class develops over the course of the season, because their growth plays a big role in how franchises build for the future, and this brings us to the topic of today's video. As I did for the first month of the season and the midway point of the season, today we'll be giving out our final grades for how the top 10 picks of this year's rookie class have performed in their first seasons. And honestly, right off the bat, I'm gonna say that there aren't many bad grades on this list at all this year, because this year's class, for the most part, had a terrific showing and overall development over the course of the season, which is exactly what you want to see from these young guys. Before we start though, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel because we're closing in on 200,000 subscribers and your support for the channel is so appreciated. Now with that being said, let's begin. Starting things off with the player that was drafted first overall by the Detroit Pistons, the grade for Cade Cunningham's rookie season is a strong A. Cade's season steadily got better and better as time went on, and by the end of the year he was looking every bit like a #1 pick is supposed to. Being the #1 selection does come with high expectations though, so I wouldn't necessarily call his season perfect to give him an A+, but it was pretty damn good, so an A should suffice here. Cunningham's a walking mismatch as a big strong guard with a tight handle and tremendous court vision, so he used that to his advantage, attacking the basket with a lot of success and creating for those around him when the defense overcommitted. He led the rookie class in points per game, he ranked in the top 5 in rebounding, and he dished out the second most assists per game amongst rookies as well, making him without question one of the most productive players in the draft and arguably the most well-rounded as well. So the fact that he hasn't been more included in the Rookie of the Year talks kind of surprises me. Next up is Jalen Green, who was taken second overall by the Rockets, and the grade for his season is one of the biggest improvements over the course of the year, being a nice A-. Green's rookie season for a while was looking pretty grim. He was selected second overall because of the fact that he was labeled as the best scoring talent in the class, so when he was shooting it abysmally early on and struggling to score at the same rate that the other rookies were, there were some legitimate concerns. But with young players with a playstyle that relies heavily on volume scoring, you need to have patience, because adjusting to this level of play can take time, and the patience that the Rockets had with him paid off in a big way. In the final third of the season, Green really took off, averaging about 22 points per game in that span, shooting 48% from the field and 39% from 3, all of which are outstanding for any player, let alone a rookie. He also finished the season on an absolute heater, scoring 30 or more points in 6 of his last 7 games, and in the final game of the season, he dropped a career-high 41 points, so he has a lot of positive momentum heading into year 2 after a slow start early on. Next up is the third pick, being Evan Mobley of the Cavaliers, and the grade here is another strong A. Mobley is seen by many as the favorite for the Rookie of the Year award because he was the most steady rookie from start to finish. Averaging 15 points and 8 rebounds per game, he's a highly impactful player whose presence absolutely contributed in a big way to the team's emergence this year. His best work comes on the defensive side of the ball though, where he has proven to already be one of the most versatile talents on that end, as he can comfortably switch out onto players of any size and hold his own, and his work inside as a rim protector is incredibly advanced for someone his age. An area of improvement moving forward for him would be becoming a more consistent shooter, but other than that, he had an outstanding first season in Cleveland. Next, with the fourth pick, we have Scottie Barnes of the Toronto Raptors, and the grade here is yet another strong A. It seems crazy to have this many good grades to start off the video because there are usually a few bad picks at the top of drafts every year in the past, but this has been one of the few years where almost every player taken early on has had an outstanding rookie season. Barnes is another player that has unbelievable potential on both ends of the floor, and the fact that he produced at the level that he did for a team like the Raptors that are a playoff team makes his work even more impressive. Defensively, he's a tenacious defender that can defend multiple positions thanks to his crazy length and agility, and offensively he scored about 15 points per game while shooting 49% from the field, so he was an efficient secondary scoring option for the team. Next up is Jalen Suggs, who was taken 5th overall by the Magic, and this is where the streak of good grades ends as Suggs gets a D. Suggs was viewed by many as the most NBA-ready prospect at the time of the draft, yet here we are a year later, and he was actually the top prospect that struggled the most. He did struggle with some injuries at some points, but when he was healthy and on the court, he just never really found a rhythm. On the season, he averaged about 12 points and 4 assists per game, but he shot the ball poorly at just 36% from the field and 21% from 3. Obviously, struggles like this aren't the end of the world for young prospects, and rookie guards do tend to be the ones that struggle the most, but it still wasn't very good regardless. Next is the 6th pick, which was Josh Giddey of the Thunder, and the grade for his season is a solid B+. Giddey is an incredibly unique player, all things considered. He's a 6'8" ball-handling guard that showed off terrific playmaking and passing this season, and could absolutely become a consistent triple-double threat down the line in his career, and the fact that he was the youngest player to ever record a triple-double in an NBA game is a pretty nice start to that. He stuffs the stat sheet, averaging about 12.5 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists per game, but when it comes to scoring the ball, he has a lot of work to do if he wants to be reliable and efficient, as he shot just 41% from the field and 26% from 3. All in all, though, he's an incredibly promising talent that the Thunder should definitely be excited about. Up next is the 7th pick, being Jonathan Kuminga of the Warriors, and the grade for his season is a B. Kuminga was in a much different kind of situation than most of the other rookies mentioned, because the Warriors came into this year ready to compete for a title with lofty expectations, so the development of the young guys wasn't exactly priority number 1. Still though, Kuminga worked his way into a consistent role with his energy around the rim, his cuts off the ball, and his willingness to defend. He does still make a lot of typical rookie mistakes regarding the fouls that he commits and some of the decisions that he makes, but there would be a lot more leeway for him to do that if he were on a rebuilding team, so you can't really hold that against him too hard. Next up is the 8th pick, being Franz Wagner of the Magic, and his grade is a strong A. Wagner was one of the most surprisingly great rookies this season, and he didn't really get the proper attention for it, likely because he was doing it for the lowly Magic, who don't tend to get much media coverage. Wagner was the 4th leading scorer amongst rookies while shooting 47% from the field and 35% from 3, which is pretty good efficiency for a rookie, and his ability to create his own offense off the dribble outperformed all expectations that most scouts had for him this year, so moving forward, the Magic found themselves a gem. Next up is the 9th pick, being Davion Mitchell of the Kings, and the grade for his rookie season is a B. Mitchell's claim to fame is that he's an absolute lockdown defender, which showed at times this season as a rookie, but is still a ways away from fully living up to that title. Offensively is where the most improvement lies in his game though, as he was the kind of player who could heat up every now and then and score in bunches, but was overall inefficient. But again, most rookies are, so it's not something that I'm too worried about in the long term with him. The most impressive part about his development near the end of the season was how he embraced the primary ball handling duties when De'Aaron Fox was out, and showed that he could create by dishing out a ton of assists, so I'm excited to see how much he improves over time. And finally, the last player from the top 10 is Ziaire Williams of the Grizzlies, and the grade for his rookie season is a B-. Williams surprisingly found himself in a situation where the Grizzlies team he came into became surprise contenders this season. That may have added extra pressure on him early on when he was really struggling, but he too got more comfortable over the course of the season, and by the end, he proved to be a pretty reliable defender and slasher in his role. His overall scoring is something that will need more patience, but overall, he's coming along nicely as a prospect. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below how you would grade these rookies' first seasons. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.